Monster Hunter World. Bro, what the fuck? Judging by the recent surge of players playing this game, it's safe to say that most people already know what Monster Hunter is by now. I mean, duh, you clicked the video, which means you know at least something about the game. But what about the solo experience though? I mean, you'd be surprised at how different the game is when you're not constantly being carried by some kanji named Japanese or Chinese demon who's just freaking awesome at the game. So without any more filler that will help me potentially hit the 10-minute mark on a YouTube video, let's get into the video. Now, this review preview is also based on the quote-unquote early game, and by that I mean it's from the start of the game until you beat Nergigante and your first real Elder Dragon, and the initial credits roll. Now, keep in mind that for a lot of people, this is where the game actually starts, and while I do agree 100% on this, for the sake of this video, let's focus on the main story experience and how it is for the solo player. So, Monster Hunter World, the video game that puts you into the shiny or furry boots of a monster hunter destined to take any and all monsters into the sweet depths of extinction for some shiny new gear basically. This is by no means the first Monster Hunter game in the series, as World is the 5th mainline entry, and believe it or not, it's the 10th overall Monster Hunter game here in the rest of the world and the 14th in the series in Japan. Like bro, that's more entries in a series than 2K or even FIFA. I mean, it's crazy to think that this is such a long-standing series when looking at the fact that it was pretty much World that made it kind of mainstream, if we're being honest. That and Rise also. Now, I haven't played every game in the series by any means, but the gist is kind of the same. I mean, it's some minor tweaks here and there and a few new monsters in each entry into the series, as well as some different mechanics. I mean, I'm trying my best not to offend any and all Monster Hunter fans out there. We interrupt this program with some breaking news. It seems the awesome person watching this video has yet to subscribe to the channel or like the video. And in an unprecedented turn of events, he is now full on thinking about it. It is indeed free to do and would help me out a absolute ton. I mean, it would help the person of the broadcast a lot. News. It's the news. Damn it. We will update you on more information once we get it. So for now, let us return to the scheduled program. It's me. I'm the same guy. But broski, let's be honest, hunting some of the same monsters like Rathian, it's been the same since the era of the PlayStation DOS. Like, come on, man. That's not to say it's not fun though. This is my second time playing through World, so I was somewhat familiar with the different mechanics introduced in the game. What was different this time around was the Defender kit and a different weapon of choice though. As soon as you get to take on missions in the game, you get given the Defender kit, which is pretty much a overpowered suit of armor as well as the weapon. Now, I say weapon of choice because, well, you might have guessed it, there is a lot of different options to choose from depending on your style of play. Now, what Monster Hunter does better than fucking literally any other game out there is that picking a weapon is not only a cosmetic thing as well as looking nice, but also it fundamentally changes the way you play the game. Now, there are weapons in the game like the Insect Glaive or Dual Blades that focus on mobility more than anything else. And then you have weapons like the Hammer or Greatsword. Like bro, these are the complete opposite, where they lack the same kind of mobility, but they more than freaking make up for it with you being an absolute unit and dealing very high damage and having the power to straight up freaking Floyd Mayweather knock out the monster. Bro, that's awesome. There's a total of 14 different weapons to choose from that cater to pretty much any playstyle you could think of, and most of them feel different from each other. Now, originally when I played the game back when World was released in I think 2018 or something, I was a Insect Glaive and Charged Blade main user. Like this time around, I've been maining the Longsword, which, let's face it, makes me feel like the most badass anime character out there. But yeah, I used to use different weapons back in the day. Now, the game starts you off as a hunter of the 5th Fleet, seemingly destined for greatness. You make your character as well as your cat companion, aka Palico, and set off to learn the basics of whichever weapon you decided to go with. The questing and overall gameplay is split between a few mechanics, and the word few is really an understatement, to be honest. Yes, you have your main quest line to follow, and those are mostly expeditions and hunts with a few more cinematic quests dotted here and there. Expeditions are basically you just getting the lay of the land and finding sites to set up camp that also function as your spawn locations. Now, the meat of the game is definitely in the hunting quests. I mean, duh, the name of the game is Monster Hunter after all, and boy oh boy will you be doing a lot of that. The main quest line is pretty straightforward with the hunt and having you usually fight a few big broskis to advance and unlock the next area or even bigger monsters. And on this note, here's your quick gamer's trove tip that you might find useful. Now, by the time in the game when you fight Rathalos and Diablos for the first time, and just before you do, I think the second Zora Magdaros quest of leading him or it into the open water, go talk to the item supplier in the middle of the court right next to where you usually spawn at the start of the game. And he has 2 absolutely vital items for you to carry along with you for the remainder of your experience in Monster Hunter. These items come in the form of a power and armor charm, and these are passive boosts to your character's defense and attack. Now keep in mind, they do permanently take up space from your inventory and do cost like 55k gold or something altogether, but they're well worth the extra stat boost. Like bro, these 2 charms can also be upgraded later on in the game. Bro, let me tell you, you're gonna need every upgrade and every help that you can get in this game, especially in the later game or the end game content. Hopefully that was helpful. Well, let's get back into the review then. As I was saying, with regards to quests, a lot, and by that I mean a metric shit ton of content, is in the side quests, investigations, and event quests. Some people might think the game is very grindy, and while that is true in a sense, well, the whole game is grinding towards some specific build or weapon to then beat a bigger monster and then grind and beat an even bigger monster. But hear me out on this one though, because the game is so much fun when all of this just clicks together, bro. The game also helps you quite a bit while you're in the grind fest of content, as you also get a small farm to take care of and cultivate plants, mushrooms, and bugs, so you don't have to constantly be farming them in the expeditions or open hunting quests. You can send out palicos you recruit from other players to gathering missions. You can also use the old granny's melding pot to make a specific item in exchange for unused materials, or even take on investigation missions where you might get increased drop rates or double money rewards. Like bro, hell yeah. So yes, there is a lot to see and do by yourself in the early hours, and I'm only scratching the surface here, as there is no doubt something I forgot to mention. Now, with all this being said, it might seem a bit overwhelming to some, as there is quite a bit of micromanaging to be done in this game. I mean, yes, you could potentially skip all of that and just finish the main quest in a surprisingly short amount of time, really. But then you'd miss out on what makes Monster Hunter, well, Monster Hunter. It's all in the little things, or as Nacho Libre would put it, nitty-gritty. This game is all about the grind and the success that comes out of maxing out or optimizing your gear to match any given situation. My second time around, look, I didn't find the game to be all too difficult, to be honest, up until maybe Diablos, but that could just be down to me having played the series as well as this game before. For the new player that doesn't use the Defender set, gear optimization is part of the preparation cycle you do before each big hunt. But bro, some of these hunts are so satisfying. Holy shit. There are times in the game when you manage to pull off just the right move at the right time. Man, that shit looks so freaking satisfying and cool, let me tell you. When a piece of a monster is cut off, or its tail, or just in general when you turn the tide of battle to your favor, it's so awesome. There are items that help you get this done as well, in the form of traps you set on the ground, slingshot ammo that blind the monster or staggers them by just exploding in their face. There's also a host of other environmental things you can trigger to make sure you get the upper hand. Like bro, just talking about the game now makes me want to play it some more, because this is such a unique experience in gaming, especially playing it solo, so that it's not as spammy when someone else is fighting the monsters with you. Now you can capture monsters as well instead of killing them to increase the rewards, and then corner them in the arena to kill them to get even more rewards, which is extremely dark now that I think about it. What I'm trying to get at with all of this rambling is that the game is just so much freaking fun to play. You can easily just sink hours upon hours of gameplay for even getting to the end game content, which freaking unlocks a bunch of higher tier weapons and armor, and bro, just everything. There's just so much to grind towards, as well as more monsters as well in the end game. Bro, I'm not even talking about the Iceborne expansion. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it now. Iceborne is a full-on game in itself that challenges you more than the original base game does, and nowadays you get it for like dirt cheap. And coming from a stingy guy, dirt cheap means dirt cheap. Is well worth worth it. It's like 40 hours more of gameplay to be put into this game. The environments in the base game change up with, I think, 5 large maps to roam and hunt monsters in, with all of them having their own style and atmosphere to atmospherize yourself in. Most of them have the same materials to gather though, so that might break the immersion for some, to be honest. Now, I don't know who, but it feels like I do have to say that nonetheless. Now, what won't break the immersion for literally anyone are the graphics, but damn, they still look super nice. Like I said, each region has its specific style, and it's very nice to see the game kind of change up the environment here and there. And it's also super nice to see in a game that's designed around this rinse and repeat concept of gameplay. Now, I find it very funny to say it in modern age gaming as well, but the game runs like room temperature butter, my broski. It runs super well. I played it on both the PC as well as the Steam Deck, with it having like smaller resolutions and a fewer less frames, of course. But keep in mind, this game ran perfectly out the box on both platforms, really. It's crazy to think that this game is coming up on its 6th birthday, so it's not the newest hunter on the block by any means, and that is unintended. Now, with all this being said, man, if it's not clear by now, bro, I love this game so much. The gameplay loop is super addictive, and it's overall just a bunch of fun to be had. For people unfamiliar with the game or the series in general, I think World is probably the best place to start. Is it a wee bit more casual than the older Monster Hunter games? Abso-fucking-lutely. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think personally, gaming as a whole shouldn't be all too sweaty, and there should be a perfect balance of challenge and fun factor, as the person playing it should be enjoying their time above all else. I mean, there are also people who like the challenge, so it becomes a philosophical question of what kind of gaming do you like, but I'll just shut the fuck up on that one. Now, what makes Monster Hunter World so much fun is that it offers the perfect mix of both challenge and fun. I guarantee you won't walk out of this experience without a smile on your face, because this is by far one of those generational games that will be talked about for years to come. Now, in the case you will walk away from this game unimpressed, bro, then what the fuck do I know? I was only here to tell you my experience with the game, and if I liked it, you can do whatever the fuck you want. And that pretty much wraps it up for your broski for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to click that like button down below. Comment on what is your favorite Monster Hunter game, or if you liked World or Iceborne in general, as well as Rise. I see a lot of people being kind of on the fence on Rise. I did like it personally, but you know, it depends on the kind of gameplay style. There's a few things in Rise that are weird, but I did like it overall. I'm looking forward to just getting back to it because I want to play Sunbreak at some point as well. So many games, so many games. I hope you guys have a great day wherever you're watching this from, whichever time of day it is. I've been your boy. I'll see you guys in the next video, and Happy New Year. Hasta prontissimo, broski.